Hey there, welcome to the last video of 2024. This is about endgame, right? So this is kind of symbolic. End of the year, endgame, and a game of chess. When you look at this position, what does your gut feel say? Do you think white can win this game? Is this a draw? Or is it almost definitely black that's going to win? White to move in this position. Now, while you're thinking about it, remember this 9 out of 10 people here would say this is almost definitely black's game. Because a couple of reasons, right? Intuitively, we are designed to look at distance, and the black king is so much more closer to the promotion square of the black pawn, which is f1, than the white king. The white king is way far away. And for him to come and find space to capture the black pawn or find a way to promote the white pawn is going to be almost impossible. At least that's the gut feel. That's the intuition that 9 out of 10 people have. But actually, this game is very deep. It has a lot of nuances, and you get to know it only if you do what is something that's so basic in chess: calculate. You have to calculate if you want to really get to the bottom of this. So, how does one calculate? A couple of ways. The first technique is imagine, like let's do a thought experiment. Imagine that you're playing black and you're playing the exact same position with two different people on two different boards. And I'm just going to simulate this by saying this is my first one and this is my second one. Okay, so I have two different boards and two different positions. And let's say, the most intuitive move is to come as close as possible. So probably white is going to move to f5. And in this one, I decide to play pawn takes, right? The king takes pawn. Now, obviously, white is going to try and attack the black pawn. And here, in order to defend this, I need to come here, and then comes the move, which will actually lead to white winning the game. Because this is like a tango position. It's very common in endgames, where whoever has to move right now will be losing it. It's a proper zigzag move. So, because the only way to support this here is this, and any move that he makes, any of these 5 positions that he moves to, he would lose his hold over the f3 pawn. So let's say he moves here, you take this, and now you're ahead of it. So whatever you do, you kind of keep a position and eventually push the pawn forward and you win the game. This is absolutely devastating for black. But remember, you're playing on two different boards. So if you're playing black and you just realize that capturing this is wrong, would you do that again? In the very second attempt, you're playing the same position, would you do that again? The answer is no, you would not. So if he moves this, you would probably come here trying to capture this pawn. Now let's apply the same thing for white, right? So imagine if this position goes through. So for example, here, I know I can't save this pawn. So, he's going to capture it. But at least I can promote faster. So let's say I do this, I keep pushing, and he keeps pushing, and then you push further. He promotes, but it's with a check. And that check really hurts because when I move here, he'll just come here, preventing the king from coming to the promotion square and stopping the entire promotion from happening. There are a couple of other variations to this position. So instead of just promoting here, I might move the king further. And this too leads to some possibility of a loss. For example, if I move this as a queen, then if he moves the pawn, it's exactly the same position. So he has to move the king here. And I got a couple of checks. I can keep giving checks, and eventually you'll realize that this position is also going to be a loss for white. And why did all this happen? The reason was the very first move that he decided, which was to come here. And coming here led to the promotion, which led to the check, and that's why the whole thing failed. say, okay, let me just do something else, because ultimately I need to attack the black pawn. So I can always come here and continue doing the same thing. Black has now wisened up, so he's not going to take this pawn, he's going to come here directly, and the whole thing continues. You come here, you start pushing, and guess what? This time white 2 promotes, but the problem is the king and queen are in the same diagonal, which means all I have to do is skewer around and move and take the queen, and therefore black wins. So now you wisen up further and you realize that, okay, if I come here I have a check, if I come here I got a skewer. Can I still move this here? And the answer is yes, because I can still get to attack. So in case black decides to capture the pawn, I can still attack it. He comes here, I can still continue the dangle, and from here white would be able to win the game. And therefore the only correct move here for black would be to attack this pawn, and here white can start pushing this, and by continuing to push this he would promote right after this, and with this check there can be an exchange and lead to a draw. So let's go back. So let's think about this and say, okay, at this moment when I intuitively look at this position, it seems like almost white is lost, black is definitely winning. But hidden within this position is actually a possibility for white to win. And if black is smart enough not to do that, then there's still a possibility for white to draw if he plays precise chess. And this precision comes only when you calculate. And one of the ways of calculating is to think that, hey, you're playing the same position in multiple boards. You play the first board, you take the learning, you insert it into the second one. You go iteratively through the process. And you look at the second one, and there you learn something else, and then you apply to the third one. And the question is, how many boards do you need before you figure out the absolute best answer? So that's one way in which you could do the whole thing again and again. And this is something I call as the Groundhog Day style. So there's a movie called Groundhog Day where a person gets to live the same position, the same day again and again and again. So it's like kind of like a time loop. And what we're trying to do here is kind of like a time loop. So you simulate the process that instead of playing this position with one board, with one position, you play this with as many people as you want. And every time you try this out, you try one particular move, you learn from it, and then you apply that in the second board, and then you apply that in the third board. So it's like living the same day again and again, playing the same position and again, until you absolutely are sure that you have narrowed down the absolute right answer. And it's a result of calculation, not of intuition, not of look and feel. So in chess, especially advanced chess, look and feel, gut feeling, intuition can be very deceptive. There's no alternative to good calculation. Being able to calculate is your superpower. With that, I wish you a very happy new year, and I hope that you develop this superpower in 2025 and become a calculating machine and improve your chess. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the new year.